What's up guys, it's Danny, and today I'm going to be reviewing the iPad 3rd generation, which I have right here. I'm going to be reviewing this in 2021, seeing how good this thing does in 2021, and also looking how far tech has come in the past 9 years. So without further ado, let's get into it. And yes, this is also part of my Apple Throwback series. In case you haven't watched that series, I reviewed the iMac G4, the iPad 2nd generation, the predecessor to this iPad. There'll be a playlist right about there in this hand or that hand. It'll be up in the screen. Or now you can just check my channel. And this is the iPad 3rd generation. Let me just say that this thing is pretty iconic. The design here. Let's talk about the design first, because I think this is one of the most key features cool like in today's iPads that many people recognize them by. So I'll start with the camera here. We're gonna go around the design. So here you got your camera, your power on button, your mute switch, which iPads don't have anymore. Your volume rockers, which a little dent in the middle, which is pretty cool. And then going around here, nothing here, little scratch. And then you have your speakers. You got only one speaker now in dual size, just one. Speakers here get pretty loud. Not that it's like a half. It's like 75% of what iPad 3 speakers has. And then you have your 3-pin connector plus your iPad logo and your 16 gigabytes of memory that this thing has. And you have a laser grading, which is my mom's favorite Bible verse. And then you have your Apple logo. Pretty clean, pretty reflective also. Headphone jack, a microphone, and a 30-pin connector, and that's about it. And on the front here, you have your home button and a little camera with a little microphone on the side. You can't really see that. You can't really see it, but it's right here. Tiny little dot. This it, and you have Touch ID. You have no Touch ID here. This is just the classic slide to unlock, and boom, you are in. Just gotta do the password. And boom, you guys, you're already in the display. This is running iOS 9.2.5, I believe, or 9.5. And this thing is running iOS 9.3.5, which is the latest that this thing could handle. And speaking about this thing, this iPad is still pretty capable. The display is kind of lagging since it's pretty old. This was released in 2013. This thing is kind of lagging a little bit. Still, it still has pretty smooth, of course. Hopefully you guys can see there. It is pretty smooth, but still, the multi-touch technology is pretty old, I guess, because this thing doesn't really, it doesn't feel like 60 hertz. If it doesn't feel like 60 hertz, it feels like 45. But I mean, still, it's pretty responsive what you get. And the display here, this is where the display got a massive upgrade before against the iPad Air 2. It is a 2048 times 1536 at 264 pixels per inch. And yeah, I can actually tell the difference between this one and the old 2nd generation iPad, which I reviewed. So 264 pixels per inch is pretty good. But so this wasn't a display that wasn't really that laminated, so you could definitely still see pixels, but not as much as you could see them on the iPad 2nd gen. But you can still see pixels, of course. You can still see that since the screen is not laminated. You can definitely tell the difference there. It's not like you're touching the pixels, or you're touching a screen. And then below is the actual screen, unlike that Air 3, which the screen is just like on top, and if it breaks, you gotta replace the entire thing. But so yeah, you have that there, and the specs, just to get out of the way, are it has the A5X chip, which is a pretty massive upgrade to the A5 that this 2nd gen iPad 2nd gen had. This thing has 1 gigabyte of RAM, 16 gigabytes of storage, and a display is Retina display, 9.7 inches, LED backlight, and 2048 times 1536, which is pretty good. And this thing does support Wi-Fi, so that is pretty cool. I had to get the actual Wi-Fi in here to actually make it work, but so it does support it. It does load things fairly quickly. Still kind of slow though. Takes a few moments to actually get it. As you can see, it's coming, still coming, but still it is pretty slow. But still, at least it still works. And this thing still loads websites pretty quickly. Not the greatest, but also not the fastest. But also pretty cool. It's still pretty fast and reliable. But still, it's kind of laggy when you try to multitask it with a lot of things. This starts lagging, and this thing doesn't even support the actual thing of YouTube anymore, which is pretty sad. And so yeah, this thing, the 1 gig of RAM that this thing has does not perform that good. Switching through apps, it's kind of slow and laggy, and the animations aren't really that smooth. So that's one deal breaker you had from the iOS 9.3.5. So you have you have your videos app, which I'm not Apple removed. I don't know, on iOS 12, I believe. You have your App Store, your Skype logo, all that stuff here still is here. And actually using this thing in 2021 for half an hour here, it's still pretty good. Not the greatest, but still it's pretty good. This thing is a fingerprint magnet on the screen as any touchscreen is. Really reflective. Not I have that at max brightness, and the battery life isn't really that good. This thing is at max brightness, and still it's not that visible outdoors. It is plain visible inside, but for outdoors, it just doesn't really do it doesn't really do the job right. Still, so this thing and reflectivity, and this thing is super effective. And the off-axis look is actually pretty. Still is pretty good, as you can actually see the thing getting dimmer on the far side and actually brighter on the closest side. But still, it is really fast. Still, for the camera, this thing is terrible. It's a 5 megapixel sensor on right here, and a like 0.8 megapixel sensor right here, and it supports VGA video recording. And I open up the camera up. The front-facing camera is pathetic. It's just pathetic. Since I don't have an account on this thing doesn't really you can't airdrop any photos, but there'll be some B-roll of this. The camera is just pathetic. It's so glitchy. You can actually get some pretty decent photos, but still it is fairly glitchy. Detail is not there, and when it comes to video though, this thing is pathetic. It's not that good. It doesn't really light you up, and this is like 480p video recording. You have to like and it doesn't expose it right. It doesn't do anything that good. Like you're trying to get a line to your image, it'll overexpose everything. It underexposes a lot of things, and it just doesn't do the greatest job. Apart from the camera up, the bezels here are actually pretty manageable even today. Not the greatest. So there's like an inch of bezel on all sides. Of course, we right now have like this really thin, light iPads right here, but before that's what we had to deal with. And I gotta say, it was actually pretty good back then. Not the greatest. At least you have a headphone jack, which is pretty cool. And but still, bezels are just a little bit too over big. Still, it's pretty good iPad though. You still have your old messages and all of that stuff. You still have all your stuff. You have your old messages app here. You have your old music logo, your game center. You have your tips. All that is still here, of course. Now, the battery life here isn't necessarily the best. It definitely does drain lots of power, but and the RAM gets even worse when you're trying to open up apps. It gets even worse. If you try to push it with too much, it just slows down everything. Still is pretty fast and even load. Oh yeah, it still is pretty fast, but nothing compared to like a brand new iPad Pro that just released, or even a 2-year-old iPad from like 2018. It doesn't really compare. So speed-wise, it is fairly decent thanks to the A5X chip, which has, as we all know, Apple X chips are usually like 2 generations ahead, which is pretty cool because then you have like this thing that goes made to the A7 chip. So the A7 is obviously faster because it's a new generation. But still, just the X chips, probably don't know, Apple X chips are probably one of the fastest. But still, you'll have your old search bar, your notification center that bounces up down when you actually get it. Pretty cool. You have no widgets here, nothing there, just your iTunes, your news, your settings. Let's dig into the settings. Let's go after now that the review is over. Let's check out what this thing had. Ooh, look at the wallpapers. Or just choose one. Oh my gosh, look at that. You have all of your old wallpapers right there. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. You have all your old wallpapers. There's iconic ones still. Iconic ones are still there. Your Neptune, your Saturn one. All those. And just got some weird ones. Just some over things right here. So my favorite one I gotta say is either this one, this like the blue one with the green mashing up. This one. Or just like another one. This is still pretty cool. And as for the battery life, you still have your stuff here. This thing still supported FaceTime. Was terrible. And the standby time on this thing has been 5,489 miles, 17 minutes. Wow. There's gonna be a test about how much time is that up on the screen, either above my head or somewhere that there's space. So you're gonna see how much time that is. That is pretty long standby time. And of course, we all know Apple products have the best standby time of any product, which is ridiculous. But so opening the Photos app. We don't even have any more photos. That's of iCloud, which is pretty cool. YouTube isn't even supported. You just open up YouTube, and then nothing happens. It just doesn't at least allow loading. That's when you have too much RAM. When your RAM is used way too much. And just gonna take out some apps right here. I see it doesn't really allow you to use YouTube. You need an update to go on. And once you full up your RAM, this thing is not going back. This is just absolutely terrible. I did find some weird bugs in it. For instance, when I opened the photo booth app, for some reason, I can't get the bug to work right now. Weirdly, half of the screen was photo booth. No idea why. I don't know if that was like that was probably a bug. Cause like right here, I had like literally half the screen, which is the home screen, and the other half was just photo booth. Same with the app store, and same with photos. I'm not sure if this like was a weird bug. I'm not completely sure. It's just kind of weird there because I didn't really expect that to happen. Um, and so yeah, that's just kind of weird. This supports Bluetooth 4.1, I'm pretty sure 4.0, and the control center here is pretty basic. You have your Wi-Fi, all those controls, and it's very still works surprisingly good still. So you still have your old control center. All of that is still here. Of course, getting this iPad isn't really I don't know, isn't really that smart nowadays because of course you can get an A12 Bionic chip on it like a $330 device from Apple on an iPad, which have better battery life and all that stuff. But still, in 2012, I'm pretty sure when this thing was released, this was the big deal. This was like the big deal. People were running to Apple stores. This thing was amazing because when back then, who even knew like a thing that could actually charge where you all have a headphone jack, have this huge screen at your fingertips. That's just before the iPad was released. That was just that was just science fiction. But now, in 2012, this thing was actually real. And looking back at this tech, this part of my Apple Throwback series. Now that we have like this huge, awesome displays that are just lightning fast here, that you have all these modern icons and all these awesome things right here. It makes me wonder what will the future have. That'll be pretty interesting. What will the future have on the iPads and just routing tech? What will happen? What will we have with amazing cameras? Will we get like new sensors? When will 12K be widely available, even 8K? So as we know, Samsung is one of those companies that just goes ahead and just tries weird things because hey, they're Samsung and they can do that. But still, 8K on a smartphone. Can't wait for Apple to do that. That'd be pretty cool. That's about it, guys. Thanks for watching my review of the iPad 3rd generation. Look back in tech. This is gonna conclude my Apple Throwback series. When I get like my hands on old Apple products, I'll try to do a review of these. But for now, that's all I have. I'll see what new videos I can do. Bye.